Commemoration, as the dictionary would define it, a ceremony to honor the memory of someone or something. I would like to commemorate this class. I'd like to talk about what I've learned and my experiences this semester. Also, you can look at it as a toast to my instructor as well as to my fellow classmates. I really have had fun. I've learned a lot. Now that it's ending, I look back on all the work that I've done, and I'm very grateful that it's finished and the semester is done and the summer is here. But also, I'm glad for the experience and the things that I've learned about public speaking. Now, to start at the beginning, I joined this class a little late. I had a little tweaking in my schedule to do. I had to drop class. As fate would have it, this is the class I found to replace it. I added the class about 30 minutes before the second class session. I walked on in, kind of scoped out the room, saw a small little room, not a lot of students. Thought it could be cool. Judged the teacher, kind of thought a young guy, seemed personable. It could be cool. Which brings me to my next point. To you, Brian, our instructor. I remember one of your first things that you had us do was break into small groups and give you our first impression of you and tell you whether or not we thought you had ethos. We came up with the conclusion that we did think that you had ethos. We summed you up in, I believe, these terms: young, hipsterish grad student who was really enthusiastic about teaching and was going to demand a lot, but really did care about the subject and the learning. I remember your response to that was maybe something a little less flattering, but thank you. So you asked other people around the room. I think everyone's consensus was that you did have ethos. I mean, you are a teacher after all. Don't really remember all the other opinions, but also we've watched even your dress code change throughout the year. Started off with you suiting it up, looking nice. Realized that was added to your first impression. You needed to inherit that ethos, or gain that ethos. I'm sorry. And then to now, as we all got a little more comfortable with each other, now you kind of casualed down. Which brings me next to what I've learned, and all this talk about ethos. As the book would define ethos, it is the capacity to influence an audience based on its perceptions of the credibility and character of the speaker in relationship to its own interests and values. Now, what that really means is ethos is what the audience perceives you. If the audience thinks that you know what you're talking about, you're confident, you're passionate about the subject matter, then you have ethos. They're more likely to believe you and what you have to say. Also, along those same lines, we've learned pathos and logos. Pathos is speaking to an audience and relating to them on an emotional level to get your point across. Logos is speaking to an audience and giving them facts and evidence to relate to the audience and get your point across. I've also learned what the 5 canons of rhetoric are: invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery. Also, rhetoric is, for that matter, as I have put it in simpler words, the art of speaking to a public audience at a specific event using persuasive tools to change the public's opinion. Now, I could go on and on about what I have learned this semester. I think ultimately what I've really learned is public speaking. I feel like I've gotten better with each of my speeches, and I feel like that was the goal of the class anyway, right? Which brings me on. I have also learned stuff from watching my other classmates. I've even learned about their subjects. I learned all about kale even for one of my speeches. Which brings me to, want to get some music going. I have chosen the Cheers soundtrack. I really like the song and the show. Also, you want to go where everybody knows your name. I feel like that relates to our class because, it was an intimate setting. as the went on, got to know everybody really. And then to my speeches. I remember my first speech of introduction. I remember it being really difficult. I spent a lot of time on that. The outline took me forever. I just really didn't know what to expect. And then I went on to the next one, the enrichment speech. Seemed a lot easier to me. I really did know my subject matter. When I was giving the speech, however, though, my delivery was off. I feel like we've all chalked that up to not enough practice of the speech. And then I had my third speech, my speech of solicitation, which I feel like I really improved. I learned all about kale, speaking to the class on why they should choose kale over lettuce in their everyday diet. Just from doing my previous speeches, I learned through trial and error, and it was fun. I enjoyed giving it because I knew that I did a good job. And then to my fourth speech, this one, our last one, speech of commemoration. It leads me to my conclusion. I have learned a lot. It's been really fun. From the first day walking into the class with my broke hand, clueless about public speaking for that matter, to now, to where I feel like I do know a little bit. So I feel like if I speak to people on public speaking, maybe I will have an ethos. So, as I said, it's been fun. Hopefully I wasn't kissing your ass too much, but as the great Yogi Berra once said, it ain't over till it's over. And that concludes our semester. Have a good summer.